Welcome everyone. My name is Cindy Teevens, author of Alchemy, How to Feel Good No Matter What, and The Happiness Lie, What Generations Have Been Told That Makes You Unhappy. And I'm here today with David Fishman, who is a director at ACIM Gather and One Mind Foundation. Thanks for joining me again, David.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Always a pleasure being here with you, and I look forward to this evening. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm also here with a guest who's going to participate so that we can demonstrate the power of love and joy for forgiveness. And that is the topic tonight, Forgiveness 101. Easy forgiveness. I call it easy because it feels good and it's easier than not forgiving. So we're going to jump in and talk about the three powers that everybody is born with. And we spoke about them a little bit last week. However, I want to just review them and talk a little bit more in depth about how they work. We have the power of awareness, which you don't have to do anything for. It's always free for you, and you can't do anything about. It's always there. And how easy it is, for example, to just hear what you hear. What effort does it take? Absolutely nothing. It's always on. It's never turned off. You can't turn it on. You can't turn it off. It's a pure gift. And then there's your power of attention, which I can demonstrate by asking you, are you feeling your left foot right now? Or maybe you are now because I mentioned it and you weren't before. So your power of attention can focus in on one thing, and when it does, it eliminates everything else in your experience. So that's how we become blind, deaf, and dumb in a bad state, because in a bad state what we do is we focus our power of attention on one thing to the exclusion of everything else, and that one thing is usually a thought or a belief and a bad feeling that we're believing to be true. But the reason it feels bad is not because it's true, it's because it's not true. So it's your guidance system. And your power of attention can contract, but it can at the same time also open and expand. And when you do that, what happens is you can become aware of multiple senses all at once, and multiple sounds, sights, feelings, tastes all at once. Because life doesn't happen simplistically, it happens multiplistically, simultaneously. And the third power is your power of interest. Your power of interest is what you're most interested in. What you're most interested in is what you put your power of attention on. What you put your power of attention on is what comes to life in your experience. It's what you feel, and therefore what you tend to believe, even though you don't have to. So, what I call alchemy is a life-altering practice that, when employed, changes your whole feeling, your state, your perspective, and therefore gives you more options, behavioral options, thought options, more possibilities. And it can actually turn things around so that villains become victims in your perspective, and you see that what you thought happened never actually happened. Because when we're talking about forgiveness today, with regards to Course in Miracles and with regard to what I call alchemy and what happened to me that altered my life, we're not talking about conventional forgiveness. We're not talking about some thought, oh, somebody did this to me, but, well, I'll forgive them and I'll be friends anyway, or something along that lines, which is still carries a bad taste. It's weak. It's not real. You don't feel genuine. We're talking about such a radical shift in your perspective that you no longer perceive that you were wronged, so that there's nothing to forgive. Hey, welcome. So I'm asking you what your thoughts on forgiveness, conventional forgiveness versus, I think you've had a bit of an experience yourself with this kind of radical forgiveness we're talking about.
Yes, I must say that I have. In the conventional forgiveness, it's like you say, you will forgive someone, but you still have that bad feeling taste. In the new method that Cindy has shown me, you basically go to a place where there is no bad feeling because you let go of everything. You let go of all the past. You let go of all the frustration and anger around it. You basically come up to a place of peace inside. Therefore, there's nothing more to feel anything, like no more guilt or no more anger or anguish. And you basically let go of all that. Yeah.
Thanks. So when I talk about letting go, well, when I hear people talk about letting go, there's no actual, thing called letting go. Like, what is this letting go? The way you let go of anything is that you remove your power of attention from it. So this is basically what it is. You're not actually forgiving anything or anybody. You're removing your power of attention away from a thought that is a bad feeling thought, a judgmental thought. And it's sort of like if you had, picked a lovely flower. In order to pick and hold a lovely flower, you contract your hands together and you hold this flower. But then if you turn it over and you see something repulsive like a spider that may bite you, you don't keep contracting on it, right? You open and you let it go. This is how you so-called let go. We use this languaging let go. It's very tangible. But when it comes to thoughts, you're not, actually cupping and holding a thought, not with your hands. And so instead of speaking, we can speak conceptually, but what does that mean really? What that means really is holding your power of attention back off of the thought. And as part of the practice of alchemy, we learn how to use the power of attention to do that. So, yes, using your power of awareness, your power of attention, your power of interest, that most people aren't even where they have these powers. I mean, the body wasn't born with a manual, right? And if your parents aren't aware of it, then how are you going to become aware of it? I found it out accidentally through a very painful process. But if you watch closely to your actual experience without believing so much about what a thought is going on in your head, what a thought is saying in your head, then you can start to notice certain things. You can start to notice that you are not a thought, that a thought comes and goes to you. You don't come and go. And that you have this power of attention, yet it's subtle. And so it's so subtle that we miss it. And yet we all have the experience. We've all, for example, sat on our foot and half an hour later noticed the tingling in the foot because you weren't aware that you were sitting on it, and you cut the blood off and the nerve supply off. And so your body is always here waking you up with pain. That's the grace of it. It is always here telling you when you are not paying attention to something that needs to be paid attention to, or when you're paying attention to the wrong thing. Yes, using your 3 powers you were born with. And the thing about these powers, especially the power of attention, the power of attention, if you don't use it yourself consciously, it kind of goes on autopilot. It just bounces from whatever to here to the next, whether it's something outside of you or whether it's a habitual stream of thinking that is happening inside of you. It just goes on autopilot to whatever pattern of habit it's used to. And that's very much like your power of breathing. Because if I don't mention your breath to you, do you have to think about it? No, it goes on automatic. Keeps you alive. That you can take conscious control of it. You can focus your power of attention. Everybody has focused their power of attention when they've hurt themselves. Immediately your attention goes right to the injury, and probably your hand goes there too. And you sense right into see what's going on there. Now with physical pain, if you keep your power of attention on one spot that hurts, you may amplify the experience. And you may eliminate everything else about the body that is not hurting. So this is how we say that, pain is mandatory. The body's going to feel pain. It's a message. It's not a bad thing. But suffering is optional. And what's suffering? Suffering is mental, psychological. It is putting your power of attention on a bad feeling thought and holding it there. And putting it on the next bad feeling thought. Because when you start to feel bad, you become a bad feeling magnet. And a bad thought magnet. I call thoughts and feelings one and the same. Thought feelings, because they arise together. So, how do we use your 3 powers? Well, the number one thing is that if you're putting your attention on a bad feeling thought, it's going to feel bad. And that pain is a wake-up call. It's an opportunity to notice what's going on. Not think about what's going on. You see, there's a difference. But to notice what's going on. To notice what thought you just are having right now. What thought you are believing right now. Because if you think about it, well, it can go in all kinds of ugly places and imagination, really. So just to notice what thought has happened that arose with the bad feeling. And once you notice that, then you can ask yourself the first question of alchemy. What do I want? Because whatever thought arose that is a painful thought is something you don't want. And so now we need to discover what you do want. Hey, Dave is going to try to come back on. Oh, got you now.
Yes, now?
Yes, got you now.
Okay, very good. Okay, great.
Excellent.
Hi, Maria. Thank you for being here. Okay, when you first started out, you said, something about feeling good. Somebody on Facebook asked me just the other day, he said, it sounds like forgiving people is difficult. And I said, actually, it's easy. It's easy. And he said, well, why is that? Because it feels good. Because it just really feels good. Without the forgiveness, we're stuck in the past, looking to make the past right, and we planning. So the next time we see somebody, we're going to say the right thing. We're maybe going to make them wrong. We're going to explain. And all of that just clouds our mind. There's no peace, To actually be here right now and just enjoy just being here and now. Forgiveness really comes from feeling good comes from forgiveness. The more you release, the more you let go of nothing, literally nothing, except the meanings that we give to things, the easier it is to feel good. It's just that simple. The funniest thing is it came to me just today that you're not only feeling good for yourself, you're really doing something for the entire world, literally, because when we project, which means I have thoughts that I don't like about myself, and I project it out onto others, which is another way of saying I'm going to blame somebody, I see them as wrong, which is a shame, that they're guilty, and really these are thoughts that are coming to me about me, and as a matter of fact, I'm projecting it out onto others. As it says in A Course in Miracles, projection makes perception. The world you see out there is nothing more than an outside picture of an inner condition. So even though it looks like I'm, putting the responsibility for the way I feel, I don't feel good about myself, I'm putting it on you. You are doing this to me. And it just keeps, you're just doing the same thing over and over again. There is no release. There is no way out of that loop. It's like walking on a treadmill where basically you just keep doing the same thing over and over again, always thinking it's somebody out there, when as a matter of fact, the only one that's ever doing anything to me is me. And when I'm forgiving, not only it's not that you're condoning anybody out there, you're just releasing yourself from the inner terrorist. There's a terrorist in there that keeps saying, oh, you should have done this, he should have done that. It's always shoulda, woulda, coulda. Never. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being in my life and giving me an opportunity to clear my own mind out. So I will turn it back to you, love.
Very well said, and it's true. Every bad feeling is an opportunity. Every single one is an opportunity to clear your mind out, to remove the dust from your eyes so that you can see with purity. It is really, truly a return to innocence. Since, my experience, I have found that old mind, I call it now old mind, it used to arise. It still arises sometimes, but I don't take it seriously. I'm not interested in it. And it's really entertaining now because I see the contrast. But also, it's such a gift. When you do see it, to use it. It's a gift to yourself, as you say. It's a gift to the other person. Actually, it's a gift to the whole world. So with that, let's walk forward. I'd like to ask Marie if she can think of a time when a thought arose about somebody. There was some form of judgment. You pick anybody you want, and where you just felt so certain that what you thought about them was true. If we could use that example to give an example of how alchemy works. Just a simple one. If you can think of one, go ahead. If you can't think of one on the spot, I'll let you go and I'll keep nattering away here.
Okay, example that's coming to now is when I thought that my niece didn't want to speak to me on the phone. There was some news that was told to me, and I'm so excited, pass her to me, I'd like to talk to her. And I was speaking to my brother at the time, and my brother turned to my niece and said something, and then he came back to the phone and said, no, she doesn't want to talk to you. And I said, well, what do you mean she doesn't want to talk to me? What's that all about? Well, she just doesn't want to talk to you. And I was frustrated. I was in tears thinking, why does she not want to speak to me? What have I done to her? So that's the example, if you can use that.
Yeah, and in that, did you in some way judge her, I imagine?
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay. And so I do know that you had resolution to this, so we're not actually going to walk you through the practice. But I would like to, this is a fantastic example of how we often believe we know what's happened and then find out later that what we thought happened didn't happen. So go ahead and tell the rest of the story.
Well, I can share what happened is that, so the news was that she was going to have a baby. My niece was going to have a baby, and I didn't have the information yet. Brother is the one who relayed that information to me. He was very excited. He's going to have a, and I thought, wow, that's great news. Let me talk to her. Let me congratulate her. Let me talk to her. And when he turned to her to pass the phone, she phone call. She was just no. And so my understanding was, oh my goodness, what have I done that she's upset with me, that she doesn't want to speak to me? I just want to congratulate her. I think it's wonderful news, and I want to be the first to say, I'm so happy for you.
And what were your thoughts? It
turned out to be such
a. What were your thoughts about her when that
my thoughts.
Happened?
Yeah, my thoughts were that she doesn't want anything to do with me. That she just with me. She doesn't want to share something so exciting and so great. It's a wonderful piece of information, but she didn't want to share it with me.
So that would mean she's what? She doesn't care, or she's not.
She doesn't care. She doesn't love me. She doesn't want me in her life. She doesn't want to include me in this. Yeah.
So you notice these are the thoughts about the situation. What happened is what happened. The fact is she didn't talk to you, and the fact that of her not talking to you doesn't hurt you. It doesn't.
Absolutely.
Whether she talks to you or not doesn't hurt you. But the thoughts that she doesn't care, she doesn't love me, these hurt you. Nobody else. And go ahead. I'll let you finish the story.
Well, and so the only thing to say with that is that I didn't know her reason, and I just made up all these stories and believed them to be true. And what I found out the next morning when I spoke to my brother again is, since she didn't want to speak to me, she was upset with my brother for having given me the news directly and not coming from her. So her real reason is she was at the moment feeling, oh, why did you tell her? I wanted to tell her myself. And so she didn't want to talk to me just because she's feeling that that upset right at that moment, but nothing to do with me, nothing to do with our relationship. And so I
Right.
totally misread the whole thing.
Right, and nothing to do with any of the mind reads. You used a term called mind reads, which is what I teach people. Nothing to do with your mind reads about her. And of course, your mind reads come from you, your fears,
That's
your
right.
hopes, your desires. Yeah, not from her. Where else do they come from? They're existing in your mind. So that is a prime example of where, you know, someone's truth was the total complete opposite of whatever story it was that we can have in our minds, and it's a beautiful learning. But even if you didn't find that out, even if, you know, she did have something with you, even if she did have some problem with you, some mind read of her own that was, you know, hurting herself, that still doesn't hurt you.
Mm.
What hurts you directly and only is your own. So if she had some problem, you know, idea problem with you, that's hurting her, not you. And if everybody took care of their own business, recognize it's their own business, number one. You have to recognize it's your own business. It's not actually their business. Your mind read about somebody else is not actually their business. They don't know about your mind read. It didn't come from them. It has nothing to do with them. And so, but if everybody took care of their own business, we would have a lot less suffering in the world, a lot fewer divorces, and a lot more love. And to see if Dave wants to come in and comment with that.
Okay. Thank you so much for that sharing, Maria. And yeah, I think that the question that Cindy asked, what if you didn't even learn the circumstances, that she really wasn't really upset at you? Why would forgiveness really be helpful to you and to everyone, truly? But let's start with you. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with the Course in Miracles, but basically I say there are two axioms that are true for me in A Course in Miracles. One is that I'm always speaking about myself. So she, for instance, when she was speaking to you, she was speaking about herself. She had her own upset, which of course had nothing to do with you. But you were also speaking about yourself. In other words, you had given meaning to the meaningless. In other words, you gave meaning that she wouldn't get on the phone. The thought that she wasn't including you comes from your own voice, the voice in your head that says, well, you're not being included. You know, you are separate and apart. Now, that is the voice of separation. That is not your loving voice. That's not the voice of the Holy Spirit within you. That is the voice of the ego, which is another way of saying the voice of separation that sees people as separate and apart. And we give meaning to those things. And you actually gave meaning to the fact that she didn't get on the telephone with you. But only you gave the meaning to that. Only you gave meaning to the meaningless. That's why the first two lessons of A Course in Miracles is nothing I see here means anything. And lesson number two is, well, in case you think it means something, just remember, I'm the one who's given all the meaning to it. It never did mean anything, but the voice gives us all these things, all these stories. Well, it was probably this, was probably that. It was none of those things. In a much deeper sense, she was the perfect teacher for you, because it gave you an opportunity to see that you made it all up. You literally made it up. We're always making it up. As long as I'm bothered, as long as I'm not at peace, you can be sure that I'm listening to a voice that doesn't want peace. It actually wants activity, it wants disturbance, it wants conflict, it wants controversy, and it makes things up. It just makes them up. So getting back, do you want to feel good? Because if you got off the phone at that time and you weren't willing to let it go, you would have went through the next day or two thinking about this. There's no peace there. So the whole idea of forgiveness is I'm doing this for me, and I'm also doing it for everyone, because I'm really seeing that we are really one. We really are one, and I don't want to see us as separate anymore. And I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Yeah. So, and you know, the thing is, when we try to do this from a mental place, you know, we try to shift our thinking from a bad feeling thought to a good feeling thought when we're feeling bad. We're not convinced. We're not convinced because we're feeling bad. And we may try really hard. I mean, I know I've tried so hard it was excruciating. It hurt more than the initial so-called problem I thought I had. And because, you know, we also can end up feeling like, you know, we can't do this. We're not good enough. There's something wrong with us. Now we can add that on top. This is the nature of suffering. You can just add and add and add and add. So what I found quite accidentally was that when you shift your state first, when you feel good first, good thoughts come easily and effortlessly. Access to knowledge and wisdom that you didn't have when you were feeling bad is right there. It's so obvious. And that's why people laugh. That's why I call it the laughter of realization. So first they start to feel good, and then they just burst out laughing, especially with judgment, because it gets so completely reversed that you see that they weren't doing what you accused them of doing, you were doing it. But when if you looked at that from a bad feeling state, it's not going to go over so well. You know, if someone says to me, no, that person judged me, and I say to them, well, actually that means you're judging them, there's going to be a lot of resistance there. Old ego is going to say, no, 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 it's not me, it's them. That just gives the ego more fuel. So what you do is you shift your state first, feel good first. That's what alchemy is. And people say and report that it's almost magical because they were so certain this was true, and then suddenly it's gone, and the reverse is obvious. So I like to have people have the experience of that, because that's where the power of this is actually having an experience of it. So Marie, if you can think of a time that hasn't been resolved yet, it was a great story, thank you, great sharing. And if you can think of a time that isn't, you know, resolved yet, it could be something small, where you know, judge somebody for something, you thought something bad about them. And let's see if we can walk through that in the next just under 30 minutes here. Let me know if you come up with something, okay? You give me a sign. Oh, David is waving. All right.
Okay. Or, are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we got you.
Or maybe there's a thought about someone who doesn't really love you. You know, somebody who you have loved and hasn't really returned that love, or at least that's a thought you have. And is there someone like that? And a lot of that sometimes is with our own family. It could be a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, or someone who basically has that we've been close to, and somehow we feel that I'm close to them, but they've never really been close to me. Is there anyone who is like that for you?
He's
Okay.
nodding. That was a great trigger. Okay, so can you, Maria, think of a specific time when something happened where you had this thought, they don't love me, like I love them, or however it is. Try to take something small. We only have 25 minutes, although I know you're really good at this.
Well, there's many examples. I guess when Dave said, you know, think of an example in your life, and it's usually a family member, and that is because that's usually the person that you care for the most, and the one that you feel is not understanding you, right? You're somehow the resistance is there. Many examples with my husband. You know, he doesn't listen to me. He doesn't understand me. And that comes up all the time, right? He doesn't understand me.
One specific one. See, what happens with
specific.
Yeah, what happens with, while you find one, I want to talk about this. What happens with suffering is that we have one incident, and where whatever has happened, we apply the meaning that it means he's not listening, he doesn't care, and then if we form the belief that he doesn't really care, he doesn't really listen, then you will see that everywhere, as David said. Perception is projection. It's vice versa too. Projection is perception, and so carrying that belief, it colors your experience with him, and you will see it even though it's not there for him. If you asked him, there'll be something else that you couldn't see, that you didn't know or you didn't notice, because you were contracted down onto this thought feeling, this bad thought feeling that he doesn't listen. And what can happen is that becomes generalized. Now you form a belief, general belief. He never listens. He doesn't therefore care. And this can grow into severe, severe suffering. And as well, it can limit your relationship, obviously. If you carry any belief about your partner, you are going to see it, whether or not that's their intention or their purpose, or whether it's so-called true or not. In fact, it's never true, because all suffering is in our heads. And I don't say that lightly. I say all suffering comes from a thought you're believing that feels bad. And if you didn't have the thought, you wouldn't have the suffering. So with alchemy, we need to get very specific. We can't take something like, well, he always does this, or he never does that. As soon as I hear always or never, I know we have a high form of suffering, because it's a generalization. And so I get very specific. I say, I need you to think of a specific time when you were feeling okay, and then something happened. You saw something or heard something, or something didn't happen, and this feeling of I'm not listened to came up. You've got one of those?
So an example of that would be we
No,
were away.
Don't have your audio. There you are.
No.
Okay.
An example would be that we were away on the weekend. We went to Toronto. To where were we? In the States, Watertown, and we came.
It doesn't
back.
matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We were away, and we came back, and my two boys and my husband left the vehicle and inside and went about their business. And I was in the vehicle thinking, okay, so now there's a car full of stuff that needs to be emptied and put away and dealt with, and nobody's here to help me. So is that something we can work through?
Yeah. So what's the judgment there? The judgment is
they don't care. Nobody in the family, neither my two boys nor my husband were there to help. Right. Therefore, they don't care.
They don't care. Okay. Very good. All right. So one moment you're fine, right? And the next moment you're not. Yep. So it's a perfect example. They left the car, and you start to feel bad. And so in that moment, I would apply the very first question: what do you want?
At that moment, I wanted some help in taking things out of the car and putting things away.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So how does getting help, taking things out of the car and putting things away feel?
Supported. Feels cared for, wanting to contribute and help.
Okay.
Generous, generous of their time to be wanting to be of service.
Yes. Okay. What else?
That they're thoughtful. So, I don't know if that they feel I feel that they're thoughtful.
Yeah. Okay. And if they're thoughtful and supportive, what does that mean about you?
That they love me, that they care for me enough that they would help me to do these things.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. So now I'm going to get you to come to your senses. You know what I say you know what I mean when I say that, because you've practiced this before. So for people who don't know, it's basically, so when I say come to your senses, it means feel into your feet, feel into the top of your head, take in your peripheral vision, and notice the breath moving in and moving out of the body. And if nobody's ever done this before, I'd highly suggest that you experience it now. And just do that for a few in and out breaths. And notice what happens. Notice how quiet it is. Why is it quiet? because thinking stops or slows down. That's because we've taken the power of attention and put it into the senses and taken it away from the stream of stressful thinking. And already it feels good. Already there's some release and some relief, right, Maria? Yeah. Okay. So, having come to your senses now, how does them helping, taking the things out or putting things away, helping you do that, feel in the body? How does supported, cared for, generous, wanting to be of service, thoughtful, and how does being loved feel in the body? You got that all at once? I think you're bouncing a little bit. I think you got it. You still have sound with you, Maria? Can you do a sound check?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, I can now.
Hear me okay?
Yeah, okay. So it's getting a little dark there. It's a little hard to see you, but so just give me a little verbal confirmation back. How does them helping and taking care of things and putting things away and being supported and cared for and thoughtful and loved feel in the body?
In the body, it feels very calming, very relaxed, very light,
Yes.
effortless.
Mm-hmm. How does loved feel in the body?
Gentle.
Mm-hmm.
It's warm.
Warm. Mm-hmm. Is this how you prefer to feel?
Yeah.
Okay. We just asked this question to be sure to make conscious note that this is what you prefer. Okay. And to anchor it in. Okay. So who or what did you need to feel this? Anything? Anybody?
No, absolutely no one.
Okay. Did you need them to do anything? Did you need them to take things out to the car to have this? No. Okay.
No.
Okay. So who did you need to take things out? Who did you need to help?
Myself. If I wanted to have those things out of the car, then I could take the action to, or I could ask for their assistance.
Okay, now
in a very gentle, kind way.
Well, from the state it would be, and it would be genuine, wouldn't it? And
right.
You can't see that from the other state that you were in, could you?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Do you think this would work better than the other state?
Yes, I believe it would. Big time.
So, whose thoughtfulness did you need?
Yes, my own. My own, to be thoughtful.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So who was not helping?
I wasn't helping.
Yeah.
And blaming them for it.
You can see that now, right?
Them wrong. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Was that helping? No. Yeah.
No.
Okay. So.
Because what it did is it just put me in an ugly state.
Yeah. Right. And that didn't help, right? Were things where they belonged?
Were they then? No.
For you, were things where they belonged? For you, did things belong being blamed and angry and?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
So who really needed to take care of things and put things away?
I did.
Yeah, you know which things?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And who were you not supporting?
I wasn't supporting myself.
Yes.
I wasn't supporting them.
You weren't supporting them. This is why you felt unsupported. No. Because you put your attention on this unsupported feeling. Okay. Oh, so you're laughing now, eh? It's funny.
At the time, it was not. Now it's, yeah, you look back and go, wow.
Yeah. You can do this
Different
at the time.
perspective.
Yes, different perspective.
Yes.
But you can do this at the time. Okay. We do it in retrospect now so that you're better at it, so that you can do it at the time. Right? So it's okay that a bad thought feeling arises, okay that you believe in it, as long as you notice it, that it hurts, okay? And that's the grace, that's the gift, is noticing that it hurts so that you can use it. Instead of believing it, use it. I say if it feels bad, don't accept it, suspect it, and use these questions, okay? So who was not being generous?
I was not being generous.
Yeah. So feeling this way, feeling good, feeling calm, relaxed, effortless, gentle, warm, and loved and loving. What do you think about their behavior now?
Well, I look at it now and think, well, there was 2 teenage boys who were excited to be home and came racing into the house to go and play. go back to what they're used to doing.
Yes, yes. See how love prevails now and compassion kicks in?
Yep.
Yeah, very good. Okay. And so feeling this way, how do you act instead?
Supportive, loving, and caring. Yeah.
And do you still, you still have a carload of stuff, right?
Yes.
You don't neglect the carload, do you?
No, has to get done at some point.
Yeah, and you don't neglect the children in teaching them, right? To be
responsibility and helping. Yes, exactly.
So the whole is included, but your behavior will be more holistic and more beneficial for everybody, right?
Yes.
Understate?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. And is this how you prefer to act?
Yes.
Wonderful, beautiful. That's the last question. I asked Maria a series of questions to not just shift the state, but to get the learnings from that, and so that it's genuine. Does it feel genuine for you, Maria? I know you muted out there, but does it? Yes.
Yes, it does. It does feel genuine. Yes, it's in retrospect. But if I can do it for every other occasion that this type of situation arises, because it does all the time, and just bring myself to the calming and loving person that I wish to be, then I do have a totally different outlook on anything that's happening around me.
I just want to check, how does the thought, if I can do this and bring myself to the loving person I want to be, how does that feel? Is that good or bad?
Yes, I see what you're saying. I'm putting it out into the future as though there's something to do.
Yes.
Versus I can be that way now, right now.
Yeah, yeah, and you're projecting the past into the future and putting it in your way of your now, right here and now. And so it feels bad. So you see every moment watching how we feel. Yes, every moment watching how we feel. And this isn't work. Maybe initially it is because the habitual mind is churning out, the habitual negative feeling, thinking. But it isn't work ultimately because it always feels good. You always get to feel good. And so you're just paying attention, you're being aware of when you're putting your attention on a bad feeling thought, and anything that limits you is bad feeling. Anything that comes from the past is projected into the future feels bad. And it says, well, yeah, well, I don't know if I know. Maybe I can, maybe I won't. It's really wishy-washy. But you are always there in the moment. And if in another moment like this, you're there and you go, well, if I can do this, you see. Mm-hmm. Who's telling you to say that?
Only myself. Yeah.
There's nobody there telling you that.
No.
Right? So to come to the realization that we are the authority of the thoughts we choose to believe, always, then no thought can trump you. No thought can be in your way. You can do this. Okay? Don't put anything in your way. Because then you're fighting your own strength. And it's a stalemate. Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Cindy.
welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So that was a demonstration of alchemy, of how I work with people. It's moment to moment in the here and now, and I am adamant and unrelenting, because what happened to me, after this happened to me, I heard the pain and the suffering. I heard the limitation, and it jumps up like a red flag to me now. So I catch it very quickly, and I just check in with people to check and see, how does that thought feel, good or bad? 9 times out of 10, it's a bad feeling thought. Occasionally, for some people, in some rare instances, it's a good feeling. And I mean, it has to be good, not just okay. It has to be good. And that's the criteria we work with. We really have to have integrity here. If you don't have integrity, you're just flailing around. So that's what I do. A great demonstration. Thank you for playing. Let you come in and comment on that if you like, Dave. But you're muted.
I'm going to unmute.
There we are.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Maria and Cindy. I also heard something there, and of course Cindy did nail it. But let's look at it from a slightly different point of view, which is, you can always look at it differently. And what I heard is that it was okay for you not to feel good, but to feel right. To feel right that they didn't really understand you. I mean, if they understood you, why would they leave when as a matter of fact, you really needed their help? There's a line, one of the most often quoted lines, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Choose one. You really can't have both. So, you know, when Cindy said, you know, when you're not feeling good, you know, put it up for suspect. Like, am I feeling righteous about this? I'm not feeling good, but I'm feeling right, that I'm right and they're wrong. That should immediately kind of bring it up for question. There's another very powerful line in the Course in Miracles. It says, are you aware that all your pain and all of your not feeling good, your suffering, comes from your belief that you are powerless, that you're helpless? And you know, it kind of reminds me of that Marianne Williamson quote where she says, you know, you're not really afraid that you are inadequate. Your real fear is that you are powerful beyond measure. So we sometimes, I won't say sometimes, we actually sacrifice our power by giving our power away and feeling powerless, but then feeling righteous about the results. Well, I'm helpless. I don't really have the help, and that always translates down, if they really love me, if they really, which is another way of saying I am denying that I don't love myself, which is really what Cindy was actually saying. To claim our power back doesn't take a lot. It just says, hey, listen, I want to be happy about this. I really want to know that these people really want to help me. I don't really have to do anything. I'm just going to ask them, hey guys, do you want to help me? Yes or no? You know, and how is it that you feel about that? Maria, because I was asking, I saw your head yes, saying yes. Does that sound familiar?
That totally does, Dave. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's actually huge in my life. There's a lot of righteousness. And like you said, do we want to be right or do you want to be happy? And yeah, it really goes right to the point that I sometimes feel like I'm entitled to this. I'm right and you're wrong. And so making others wrong and feeling like I've got this, you know, air about myself that I'm right makes me miserable.
By the way, we all do the same thing. No one on this planet Earth that doesn't do the exact same thing. And that's why we have to really train our minds to see things differently. Because as long as we're in the old way of seeing things, which is so easy to blame, as soon as you see that others are responsible for my feeling good, for my well-being, for my happiness, you can be sure that that's not the voice of the love of God within you, because you already have all of that. But sometimes we gladly give it away in order to be right, And of course, you know, we're really dead wrong. We really are. And one of the most wonderful lines of the Course, it says, acknowledge that you are mistaken, and all effects of your mistakes will disappear. You know, what's the possibility that I am totally wrong? That's pretty much what accepting the atonement or the correction of error. I was mistaken. I kind of put it out there, but no, it's not really out there. Let me remember that I am very powerful. And yeah, I could just say to my it was your husband and your son, hey guys, guess what? We have some work to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Thank you. Yeah.
I know that they would be coming running, and you would be laughing.
Thank you very much. That's so true.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, David. I do want to say that there is a way out of it. This can end. You can stop doing this. Anybody can. I mean, it happened to me because I was forced into it. I was not getting what I wanted. I was so certain I was right, but I wasn't getting what I wanted. So obviously I was wrong. And the pain forced me to look at that very truthfully, very rawly. I say raw in the raw, without any protection, without any defense whatsoever. And so that is when I made the discovery that the opposite of what I was holding to be true was what I wanted. It was what I wanted. I didn't want to be right because right hurt. What I wanted more than anything, above all else, was to feel good. I wanted only love, joy, and peace. And all of that can drop away when you have this realization, when you come face to face with it, when you face what you normally wouldn't want to have in your life, but with joy, it blows out that belief fundamentally, and that will generalize out into all your relationships, into your whole life. And so it can be over for you. And as Dave said, you are powerful. Everybody is powerful. So powerful they don't know it. But in actuality, in our experience of life, you're only powerful if you know that you're powerful, that you are the one who's putting these roadblocks and these beliefs and holding these things to be true. If you keep saying it's something else, I had a client this last week that said, well, my mind is really strong. So they're putting that the mind trumps them. The mind is stronger than them. Or three things. I think the mind is strong. I've been doing this for so long, and I don't think I'm strong enough. Well, who's saying that? Who's telling them to say that? Nobody is telling them to say that. Who else could be holding that to be true for them? Nobody. See, they are the all-powerful, but they're unconscious to it, and so they're impotent. You have to come to a point of integrity where you quit blaming the outside and you start claiming the inside. And that's what happened to me. Basically, I felt I was forced into it. It was either that or suicide, and suicide was out of the option for me because I promised my dad. So it was a gift given to me, and it was the end of my pain and suffering since 2009, and I know everybody else can achieve this without question. So practice the questions. The first two will shift your state, and from there, the clarity and wisdom that's already inside of you will bubble up. It will come forth. It will be so obvious to you. But you have to want to feel good. That was the other thing. I wanted to feel good above all else. Above all else. And feeling right about something was one of the ways we would try to escape. The other way is to blame. Let's blame somebody. If I feel right or if I blame somebody, and quite often they go together, I feel a little wee bit better. But it isn't pure. It's heavy, and it's not freedom. So if you want pure happiness, love, joy, peace, and you won't settle for anything else, then this is a no-brainer for you. Then this is so easy, it's over, because it never happened. Thank you, Dave, for coming and sharing your wisdom and knowledge of A Course in Miracles. And thank you so much, Maria, for sharing of yourself so much. I know it has helped many, many people, and it will continue to help many, many people generations hereafter. Thank you all, everybody. Enjoy the joy just because you can.